And good morning. Shall we begin by giving thanks for the rain? Yeah. And even so, thinking of those people who were affected by the storm and whose homes have been damaged. So, it's like life. There's two sides to everything. And it's also the flu season. So how are we going to greet each other without sharing our germs with each other, Very carefully, yeah. We can take our guidance from some Eastern traditions in which people greet each other with their hands placed together. And it is a symbol of recognizing that the same spirit of divinity and wholeness that is in me is in you too. And the word that people use to convey that is namaste. So perhaps you'd like to do that today, to stand, get the kinks out, and turn around and just say to somebody, namaste, as a way of acknowledging that we are here. Well, that was extraordinarily beautiful to watch, although I must say that there was some unsanctioned hugging. When people, say they're concerned that the Center for Spiritual Living is a cult, I say, how could it possibly be? Nobody ever does anything I say. I completely failed at being a cult leader. Anyway, I'm very grateful to be here, working here, because I think I have one of the most rewarding jobs I can imagine having. And we've had an extraordinary year this far. And part of the reward of being here is that I constantly have to learn with you. We have a theme each year that guides us in our learning. And this year, our theme is... Turn to your neighbor and find out. I heard it. One truth, many paths. And the theme, it has the effect of helping us stay true to our aspiration. One of our aspirations is to be a place where people of different faith traditions can feel welcome here. So to make that a reality, we explore other faith traditions. So in addition to learning about our own teaching, which is the... Oh, thank God. At least we know that. The science of mind. In addition to learning about that, we try to familiarize ourselves also with other ways of other faith traditions so we can find the similarities and also appreciate the differences, as well as those places where they intersect, because maybe we can pick up some information and practices that we can incorporate and broaden our own minds about the spiritual journey that we're on. And so this year, we've visited a good many faith traditions to do just that. We've been all over. We studied Hinduism and the idea of mindfully creating a space in your own home for an altar that can help remind you. It's like an anchor to bring you back to the value of practicing in your own home, so that spirituality isn't something in that other building at the center. It's also in your home. We also studied Buddhism and the idea that meditation, contemplation, is one of the powerful pathways to our own inner peace. We looked at spirituality in general to ask the question, what is spirituality and how does that relate and compare to what is religious? Because, those two words have been at war with each other a little bit. But we discovered that both have value and both can apply to us depending on how we define them. We looked at the parallels between Christianity and Buddhism, and we looked through the filter of Taoism at that wonderful mystery of the related opposites that make up our one world. One world, but in it there are these polarities, and it's a great and wonderful mystery. We looked at forgiveness through the filter of Christianity, and we looked at Judaism's practice of the New Year observation and the process of taking personal inventory of your life, whether you do that once a year or once a month. The idea of pausing to see, what have I done? What have I brought into being in this world? How's it worked? And what do I want to do next with that? So that instead of just lumbering forward unconsciously in life, we're bringing some mindfulness into what I select and choose. We also looked at the origins of ancient wisdom teachings through the Kabbalion. We looked at the working of the mind and the power of intention. We looked at all of that and how those teachings have emerged in many other faith traditions in the world. We also looked at reverence for and guidance from nature by studying the writings of historic, famous Native American leaders and learned from that wisdom. And we heard all of that not only through our own staff ministers, Reverend Joyce DeFala and Reverend Kim Kaiser and myself, but we also brought a beautiful list of speakers to keep variety alive, so that the message comes in a diversity of ways, so we don't go asleep. When we hear the message given to us through different ways, same truth said in different ways. This year we've seen some wonderful teachers of spiritual truth, Reverend Cynthia James. We saw Reverend Deborah Johnson, who every time she comes gives us 3 different sermons every Sunday. And Reverend Jeff Anderson, who used to be on our staff but now is our colleague in Oakland, and who, by the way, is coming back as a guest next year to speak to us in July, and we long to see him again. Yeah, I know. And Victoria Castle as well, who's a wonderful speaker. And Mike Robbins has been back several times, and he co-presented with Karen Drucker, whose music is a regular feature in our services, and Greg Lavoie with his amazing message about the awe and wonder of this world that we live in. And we got Reverend Joel Fotinos, one of my favorites, and Dr. Petra Weldis from Dallas, and we heard from Reverend Mark Anthony Lord, as well as Rabbi George Gittleman. And if you missed any of these great speakers, it might be interesting for you to know that you can view them again by visiting our free online library of videos at our website, www.cslsr.org, or if you prefer to listen, like on audio, on a podcast, on your smart device, you can also download all of their messages for free and listen to them all over again. And not only that, in addition, this year, each month, we've heard from one of our non-profit partners. We select 12 non-profit partners to partner with because they are doing work in the world that we resonate with, work in the world that matches our desire to see compassion and love and sharing and respect be birthed into the world. They're doing that, so we partner with them and support them. We have partnered with 12 amazing organizations this year, including Big Brothers, Big Sisters, Sears Community Project, several years in a row now, Jewish Community Free Clinic, Santa Rosa Children's Chorus to support art and to support children, Transcendence Theater Company, Chrysalis Community Counseling Services, Forget Me Not Farms, Sonoma Ashram Foundation, and we also partner with 4 centers for spiritual living in other states, which are engaged in work supporting food pantries, local homeless shelters, local adult residential programs, and also programs for children who are transitioning into the foster care program. And that is actually the work of our December nonprofit partner, the Center for Spiritual Living's ministry, the outreach ministry, North Jersey Center for Spiritual Living. And so they're not coming here to present to us, but they did send a letter, which I'm going to read to you, because it's a letter to you. And it says, "Dear Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa, on behalf of the Center for Spiritual Living Jersey Outreach Ministry team, I send my heartfelt gratitude for your recognition and support of our 2015 Duffel Bag program. Because of your support, our 2-month-long program was able to become a year-long opportunity for service. I don't know how to convey to you the profound impact on children who, propelled through the traumatic process of being removed from their homes to foster care programs, sometimes have to collect their belongings in black garbage bags. Thanks to your contributions, we provided high-quality, extra-large duffel bags for these children and distribute them through the Essex County Social Service Agency, YMCA Newark, and Covenant House that serves children, adolescents, and young adults in housing transition. Although we do not get to know the children who benefit from this program, we are grateful to know that at least in some small physical way, we can make a difference in the life of these precious beings. Through our prayer, our love transcends time and space and transmits its healing energy to each recipient. So to us, empty duffel bags are in reality overflowing with love. With gratitude, the outreach ministry team leader." Now that's powerful. That is wonderful. And I mention all of this to give you some idea, if you don't already know, to give you some idea of what the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa, is all about. So that when you are contributing financially to the center, or when you are contributing your time and effort through one of the many ways, for example, being an usher or being a video team member or a video editor or participating in cleaning up the facility or the grounds or being part of the administrative support for our staff or volunteering to be a choir member or a volunteer musician, or you get the picture. When you are engaged in contributing that way, you have a sense of the largeness of what you are part and the diversity of what you are engaged in and the quality of the program that you are co-creating here. And not only that, that you sense it is more than local, that it reaches beyond our physical walls to change lives here and elsewhere, like through our radio program, through our Project Sleepwarm program, through our Souls for Souls program, for our Student Spirit program, through our telephone ministry program, through our hospital visitation team, through our grief and support loss group, through our free meditation coaching opportunities, through our 12-step program, through our teen group and our youth and family ministry program and camps, through our seniors group and our men's group and our women's group and our spirit in business group and the free metaphysical lending library out in the social hall upstairs. These are just some of the free services we offer at the center to reach out and impact lives beneficially. And not only that, but also through our education ministry, where we teach our own science of mind lessons about how to meditate and how to pray and how to study and how to serve and how to expand our minds. Oh, and by the way, the education ministry wants me to tell you that they have substantial scholarships and tuition assistance Go visit them out there and say to them, tell me about that substantial discount, because they want you to be part of that. I tell you all of this so that you know what you are giving to, what you are supporting, what you are part of, what you are benefiting from. Something that is the result of Science of Mind being in Sonoma County for more than 65 years. You might say that the Center for Spiritual Living is the outpicturing of Science of Mind. And what I mean by that is that it is the demonstration of our vision. Now, when I say demonstrate, I mean this. To demonstrate means you start with an idea, and you get so clear on it, and you remain so loyal to it, that it has no choice but to take form. And why that is so very important today is because after a whole year of respectfully considering various other spiritual paths, this month's recommended book brings us home to our own faith tradition with the writings of a Science of Mind minister, Reverend Dennis Barrett Jones, and his book, Your Redefining Moments, Becoming Who You Were Born to Be. Oh, it's so good to come home. And I'm so excited about that because it sets us up for the whole of next year, where our theme is dedicated to the study and application of Science of Mind principles. I'm so excited, I can hardly stand it. Please don't overwhelm me with your enthusiasm. Thank you. Now, throughout this book, he lays out some of the core ideas of our teaching, which I am now going to summarize for you in 12 key points as they relate to the content of this book, because I am so enjoying it and excited about it. Number one, you are an original. Now, this is one of those teachings in our Science of Mind that is so big and so significant that it is easy to overlook it, to skip past it, and to go on to the more interesting stuff. It is so easy to take it for granted and to undervalue it. You see, the thing about an original is that it is tremendously valuable. Copies are cheaper. And not only that, but you have inherited the nature of this creation that you are part of. In other words, you are hardwired to express. That's your creative nature. And there's not a thing that you can do about that. You're going to use this capacity to create. You're going to use it for good, or you're going to use it for evil, but you will use it every day. That's big. I remember a long time ago seeing a speaker give a presentation, and he came onto the stage and he started with this phrase. He said, "What you are thinking about me right now is creating something for your life." I never heard anything else he said, because that was so big for me. I had not been taught that. I had not been taught that the contents of my consciousness, what I was accepting, what I was thinking, what I was believing, what I was nurturing, what I was intending, what I was percolating, was important, was creative, was my personal use of creative mind. I had never been taught that. It was a defining moment for me. And remembering these two things is part of the process because of our tendency to forget it. It's just, the dust and the grime of the journey will cover over the screen so we no longer can tell where we're going, and so we end up having to create habits that keep us in the state of remembering. We call them practices. That's why we study. That's why we treat spiritual mind treatments. That's why we contemplate. That's why we do the things that help keep us on track, the mindfulness practices. Like the vigil that's coming up on the last day of the year and the World Peace Meditation. They're so important because going unconscious is surrendering to the state of forgetfulness. And it's almost like transferring your creative power into somebody else's use who will make it up for you. And one of the places where we dip into this remembering is in silence, which is the recommended chapter for this week. Silence, your compass, which guides you back to your authentic self. And this is an amazing chapter. You ought to read it if you don't read anything else in the book. He talks about the distraction of noises in our culture, how filled up every moment is with something, and how that can distract us from the remembrance of our true self. So I was reading that, and I conducted a little experiment on myself. I didn't tell anybody else I was doing it. I just did it on my own. Because, today you can stream the news on your smart devices. So I did that. Whenever I was alone, whenever I was driving somewhere by myself, whenever I was showering, whenever I found a moment, I streamed the news. So I filled up all time with that information. Now, that was interesting because I was monitoring how does it make me feel. And because it's not my practice to do that, in the beginning it was very interesting. It was very, very interesting. But then I started to notice that I was getting fidgety. I was getting fidgety with a feeling of overwhelm, and I was becoming very well informed. And then slightly addicted. It was like a soap opera, and I wanted to know more. So I felt this low-level worry, and shaking it was like giving up sugar. The compelling need to get back to it, and all the while, my sanctuary of sometimes sitting quietly seemed further and further away. And it only took a week. I really learned something this week. That we have to stay on it. Like he says in the book, keep asking questions of yourself. Such as, am I living my own life or somebody else's? Am I thinking my own thoughts, or have they been given to me by the compelling news services? I can see how it would be important for me to make friends and keep my appointment with solitude, time to inquire within. That's where intuition is, a very valuable and much underused resource. And in those places of quiet is where we discover that what we seek is already present in you, in life. This one calls for a whole shift in perspective, a whole shift in how we approach life. I call it ending the search for completion. You know what I'm talking about? That thing, whatever it is, that you and I think will finally complete us. To end that search. Or as he frames it in the book, one of the most dramatic, redefining moments in our journey is when we finally, eventually realize that we are not our bodies. We have them. We are not our possessions. We think we have them. We are not any of the things we think we are. Oh. it brings us to one of the most important questions of any metaphysical education. What am I? It's one of the most important questions we can ever ask. We want to find our authentic self. And interestingly enough, when we find our authentic self, we find out all kinds of things. Like, for example, that our authentic self cannot hold a grudge. So, now what? You can see why our teaching has never overtaken the planet. It interferes with too many cherished ideas. Now what? So if I'm holding a grudge, what is it that is holding it? What is it that attaches to it like that? So fascinating. Or its companion piece. There's only one of us here anyway. So, how do I want to be treated then? Start with that idea and become so loyal to it and so clear on it that it has no choice but to demonstrate. Now, there's a worthy project. Can I even do it? And then the invitation to keep on growing and to keep on learning. Wisdom, he writes, is knowing that there is always more to know. You think you're going to get there. Think you're going to arrive. Well, in the sense that we already have arrived wherever we are, but there is still more. I was getting my teeth cleaned, and my dentist came in to check. You know how dentists are, how they have a conversation with you and they've got all these instruments in your face? So I shouldn't really say I had a conversation. My dentist was talking to me. And we were sharing about our shared love for cycling, because I'm going to be doing that 545-mile ride again next year from San Francisco to, And I plan to tell you all about it next year because I'm going to hit on you for donations. Because we have a whole team of us going from the center. But anyway, we were talking about that and how in cycling, he does the other rides, other races and rides here in town, and he talked about training on Coleman Valley Road and how interesting that is if you've ridden in a car or a bike over it. You know that there are a whole bunch of false summits. So you're struggling and you think you got to the top and you get, oh no, it's not the top. There's another one. And you up here, and no, there's another one. And it reminded me in a sense that that's really what life is. There's a series of summits, and what actually happens is along the way, everything expands, our view expands, more becomes available to us all the time. And so it's not arriving that is our goal, but becoming aware that you and I have a very important gift to give wherever we are on the journey, and that gift is you. But it's the gift of you that is clear on this. It's not the you that may have forgotten who you were born to be. Maybe it's not the gift of you who has been so hypnotized, so traumatized, so agitated, so frightened by social media, competition, and the news that you're contributing more noise. But it's the you who knows who you is. And so our practice is to remember the truth of our being, because it fills us up. And then from that fullness, we can give to the world rather than contribute more noise. So perhaps the best gift we have to give then is the confident knowing of our origin and our power, and to demonstrate it, to choose some idea, to choose something like love, and to stick with it, and to get so clear on it that it has no other option but to outpicture, to demonstrate. That would be an amazing gift. And that's really what is at the heart of our program next year. We have an idea that this world of ours can benefit from more people doing that. I'm so excited about next year. I can hardly wait to begin, but I'm trying to stay in the present moment. I'm trying to stay here with you in this moment. But it is exciting. Imagine a world in which people are fiercely, loyally committed to, unwaveringly committed to sharing their hearts and resources and rededicating themselves to their creativity and to art and aesthetics and compassion and forgiveness. Wonderful. I invite you to breathe in with me and to exhale, letting your eyes close and taking a moment of prayer to recognize the one from which we all come, the mind of creation, if you like, that which is infinite and eternal and everywhere present, so that we may remember that that is where we live and breathe and have our being. We exist within the mind of creation. We might say we are points of divine inspiration, points of divine activity. We might say that where we are, the center of all intelligence of creation is. And so we sink into that with relief and delight. We take it in as a way of remembering the truth of our being. We are born of infinite mind. We are created from infinite creation. We are the eternal in expression. This is beautiful to comprehend, and we have no idea of knowing how that may outpicture, but we stay for today in the remembering of our origin and our nature. We let it move through us. We let it express through us. We let it love through us. This is wonderful. We begin to let ourselves feel the excitement, the anticipation of the many ways that creation does and will respond to our prayer. We move forward with a sense of adventure. We let this realization of our origin cause us to help, to contribute, to care, to love, to cherish, to feel, to create. And we are loyal to it in deepest gratitude. We acknowledge, too, the spiritual laws of mind that respond to us in prayer. It's why we are in anticipation and excited. We know that our thought in prayer is acted upon by the law of mind, and we deeply appreciate that. And together we say, and so it is.